Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at crackedfemalecode.com. Alright, so in this video, we're going to slow it down just a little bit. I think the last music I used was a little bit fast. So this is going to be a more personal video. It's going to be about me so you can understand who I am, where I'm coming from, and what this course is really about. So I guess I'll start from the beginning and kind of put the pieces together and build up to my education, my background, all the certification courses I took, etc. Because here's one of the things that I've heard from people is until they took the course, they literally thought, well, this is just one of those, dating tips courses. Like, no, this is way, way deeper than that. So one of the things I want to lead off on is I use the word seduction because it catches your attention. And it is the most seductive course on the planet, hands down. It proves itself time and time again. It's just, once you take the course, you'll understand. It'll make sense. It'll be very crystal clear. And then you'll go and apply it and it'll blow your mind. But it's about love. If I could pick 3 words of what this course is really about, it's about love, communication, and understanding. When I undertook this course, it started at point A, and holy shit, by the time I got to point Z, it unveiled things that I've never heard of, never seen. And I'm going to repeat this again. These are things you'll never hear in a Tony Robbins seminar, in a personal development coaching seminar, NLP seminar. You're going to learn some secrets that nobody knows. None of the experts, none of the relationship coaches, none of the relationship and dating experts, none of them. What I would like to say to you next is you found the Holy Grail. You literally found the Holy Grail when it comes to love and relationships, understanding women, romancing women, turning women on. And when I say understanding women, I literally mean understanding women. Because men will openly admit women are crazy, women don't make any sense. Well, it turns out they do make sense when you learn how to open up to your right brain and you learn how to speak the internal language in this series of patterns. When you learn how to do this, all of a sudden listening to a woman makes sense. So you're like, holy shit, like she will make sense. And here's the cool thing. She'll realize, like, wait, he understands me, and that will blow her mind. So first of all, what I want to say is this course is literally completely outside of the box. That's why when guys take my course, they're like, I've never heard of any of this. Not only have I had the pickup artist guys who've done all the big pickup artist courses, they'd be like, they're like, this isn't pickup artist, this isn't whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know, because what they teach you doesn't work. And the guy goes, oh, no, I went to the best. I'm like, well, if you went to the best and they were so damn good, why are you here? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, why are you paying me $5,000 for a 5-day training? He goes, what do you mean? I go, what is your purpose? And so he was evading his own reality, and he finally goes, honestly, because I want to get better at picking up on women. And I said, if those courses were so goddamn good, why in the fuck are you here? Because the truth is, they're not that damn good. And I said, if they were that damn good, you would be picking up on women. You wouldn't be flying out across the Pacific Ocean, across the United States to California to take this damn course. So I'm going to give you a little secret, or a little, not secret, but a hint or a tip. Not a tip, a hint. So my background in psychology kind of gave me a basis, but it was really when I studied NLP, and I studied the crap out of NLP. I was studying it 4 to 6 to 8 hours a day, nonstop, listening to audio tapes, reading books around the clock for 12 years, literally. So minimum I would study would be 4 hours a day, minimum. I went to all the certification courses, all the trainings, and let me tell you something. That and Ericksonian hypnosis and my background in psychology prepared me for something that Buddha Calm taught me. It's something that he did to me to help me to relax, because I used to have a ton of anxiety. Oh, and by the way, if I haven't said this course is going to help you to relax if you have anxiety, whether it's in your own life or dealing with women, approaching women, talking to women, etc. That is not a problem. Because what Buddha Calm kept doing to me, it was something that was helping me to, it was a healing process that helped me to really relax. And technically, if you want to use their terms, it opened up my heart chakra. And when I would just leave the temple, I'd be in bliss for like 5 days. I was like just feeling good. And everywhere I went, people would calm down and they would all stop and turn and just look at me and they would smile. Women would just, and children would just walk right up to me. Even animals will walk up to you. This is the same thing that I'm going to condition into you while you're here. One of the things that I do, or what I call myself, is I'm an emotional healing specialist. In other words, if you have anxiety or stress or fear, I'm the master at that. I'm not the expert, I'm not the pro, I'm the master. I'm an emotional healing expert. And the more you heal, the more women want to be around you because it feels good. So this sign is in Napa, California. It's about, I'm going to say, from my front door where I used to live, where I was raised, I'm going to say it's about 3/4 of a mile, if that. You got to go down the street and then go up the frontage road about 1/8 of a mile, maybe half a mile. So I'm from Napa Valley. Okay, Napa Valley is a very classy area. It can be a very intense area if you live there, very competitive. But there's a lot of class, wine, style, that kind of stuff there. So this image is, if I went up the street the other way up, that would be technically north out of my front door. About 5 houses, and then there's a little park there, and just cross the park, and there's a fence line. And this is the vineyards, right from literally like about a block technically from my front door. So there's always the fence was open in the corner so you could sneak in, we used to have like our YZ80s and Yamahas, etc., and our dirt bikes, and we'd ride around on the outside of the vineyards. We wouldn't tear them up on the inside, obviously, but there's a big wide dirt road on the outside where they have the big tractors and machines go around. So we would ride around there. So it was pretty cool. Growing up in Napa Valley in the 80s was really fun. It was safe, peaceful, just a really good experience. One of the things I'll get into later on is I was a very, very competitive athlete, fighter, state champion of boxing, national champion of kickboxing, wrestling, football. I was on a nationally ranked high school football team. Yeah, in Napa Valley, we were badass. We were destroying teams like 52-0, 52-7. And we were section champions, and back then that's the farthest you could go. So I'll get into my background later on. I also trained professional boxers, kickboxers, competed with them, against them, and one of my coaches is world famous. He's been in 4 Rocky Balboa movies, etc., etc. So I'll get into that later. One thing I want to say is it blows a lot of people away. Napa Valley people are highly competitive, and that's why a lot of people would fly in from Florida to watch us play football, because we were always ranked in the top, I don't know, like 15th, 20th in the nation, and people are like, why is this? We were a little town, especially back then, just a tiny little town, just destroying Division 5 high schools. Those are the biggest schools that you have in the nation. So I'm a very loving guy, very compassionate guy, but I do have my other side, so I'm not someone to be taken lightly or to push around. A lot of people have found that out the hard way, and I wanted to put this down here so you didn't just show up like, oh, this is just some nice little life coach. Like, no, dude. I've competed at the top on a lot of different sports. I'm a tough dude, I'm a smart guy. You can learn a lot from me. Another thing I would like to say is I think there's an illusion and or delusion in life coaching, personal development. And I think because a lot of life coaches, it's all about being nice all the time, being wimpy, and that's not what you're going to get here. You're going to get more of like a boxing coach or kickboxing coach or a football coach. This course makes you smarter. It makes you aware of something that you had no clue existed. It also makes you a lot stronger socially. So when I was a kid, and I mean a little kid, this is what impacted my life in a big way. I started going to church at a very young age. I'd get up in the morning. I'm talking about when I could first walk in. So I think it was around 2.5 years old, maybe 2. I just started going to church on my own. I'd just get up 6 o'clock in the morning, get ready, boom, just start walking to church. It was about, I guess, a mile, maybe a mile and a half away, something like that. And I remember it was the first or second day of church, but this time they took me into the children's room where they were going to teach us in there. And again, I was a little kid, and they had a picture of Jesus. So number one, don't worry, this is not a course on religion. This is not a Christian based, but there's things in the Bible and things that Jesus said that are what I teach in my course, and it's not about the religion at all. It's the same thing that Buddha did to me when he opened me up, and all of a sudden, like, boom, women would just want to talk to me, and they would reach out and touch me and my arm, etc., etc. So it made it super easy to talk to women, open conversations. Now here's the deal. There's something in this image, I'm not going to give it away now, I've probably given it away in other videos, that Jesus is doing. People look at the image, and I've heard it my whole life, and people say this one thing, like, there's something just so peaceful, there's just something so, and when I had figured out what it was, I was like, oh my God, this is what Buddha was doing. So one thing, and the reason why I put this picture up is because when I walked into church that day, because it used to be I would just go into the big part of the church where everybody was gathered, and then afterwards we'd break off to our classes. Well, it was the first day I went to this class, and right when I walked in, turned to the right, there was an image of Jesus all the way down on the wall at a child's height. And I remember there was something typed on there, something like "be like Jesus" or something like Jesus or "forgive" or something. That moment had a huge impact. I knew that I wanted to be like Jesus. And so, lo and behold, that's what's created this entire course. It's the beginning of it. Obviously, there's a lot of things I learned in NLP and hypnosis, communication, linguistics, etc. But there's something really huge about what's going on in the picture. So not only did I study martial arts at the age of 4 and onwards, and I became a state champion of boxing, but by the time I was like 12 years old or something like that, I was pretty young, and I just competed in everything at a really high level, very intense level. At one point in time, I was also an associate pastor. Yep, of a real, genuine, legitimate church. So here is the coach I was talking about, Jacob Stitch Duran. He was the one who made the UFC Cutman rules and how it was going to be run. He has been in every corner, from the Klitschko brothers to everyone you can think of. He's also been, I think it's 4 or maybe 5 blockbuster movies. All of them were blockbuster. The recent one was Apollo's Son, the one that just came out about 6 months ago or something like that. He obviously, these are like the Rocky movie series where Sylvester Stallone is in the movies, etc. Here he is with GSP cornering one of his fights. So if you're wondering why I'm showing you this stuff, it kind of gives you an idea of my background. Okay, a lot of people, when they meet me, like, "Hey, such a nice guy." Like, yeah, but nice guys can be killers too. Another reason why I'm showing you this is just to give you an idea of who I am, my background. And part of my background is I always bust my ass to the maximum limit to become the absolute best in the world at what I do. I've worked with a lot of very wealthy men. One guy was worth 300 million, another worth 90 million. I've had guys that were world champion boxers, and I'm talking about from my relationship coaching, okay? I had a guy who was a doctor from Harvard. Got his doctorate degree from Harvard. He was a marriage family counselor, and he was blown away. He goes, "Where did you learn this stuff?" I'll tell you what all of those guys told me. "You're better than Tony Robbins when it comes to dating, relationship coaching. You've got the secret recipe." Alright, so if you didn't catch it, this is an image of my coach, Jacob Stitch Duran, and he's made a tweet that he wrote out to me. It says, "Just had a great conversation with Mike Kollin, one of my first champion kickboxers. Nice to talk about the good old days after 16 years, etc., etc." Another city I grew up in, we kind of went back and forth a little bit, was Vacaville, California, where my parents owned 2 restaurants. One was a fine dining restaurant. The other one was just a Ken's House of Pancakes restaurant. And my dad, by the way, lived in Hawaii and started the Ken's House of Pancakes out there. He trained everyone and started the restaurant for about 7 years. So one of the things, I went to a kickboxing match in Sacramento, where Dennis Alexio was fighting. Dennis Alexio, I think, was at the time was like 50-0 or something, undefeated. He was just a badass heavyweight fighter. And believe it or not, but the person who got me into kickboxing was Chuck Norris. Yes, I'm serious. Alright, so I'm going to go back and I'll explain what happened, okay, how Chuck Norris got involved. So I went to a fight. It was in Sacramento. It was a kickboxing match, professional world title. It's Dennis Alexio against this other guy. What you're seeing here is getting living shit kicked out of him. And what happened was, I was about 5 or 6 rows back, right on the aisle at the angle that comes to the corner. And I was just like, I don't know what it was, but when his fight started, I said, fuck it. And I just stood up and walked all the way up right to the corner. I would say about 8 feet, maybe 5 feet from the corner of the ring, the metal bar thing, right? And Dennis is just kicking the shit out of this guy. I'm like, holy shit. Now, Dennis is from Vacaville, one of the cities that I grew up where my parents had the restaurant. So I heard all about Dennis growing up as a kid. And my brothers avoided him like the plague. But Dennis actually was a super nice guy to me when I was training. So I trained with his coaches, Aligardo, Jacob Stitz, Duran, Tank Davis, and all these other guys. So I'm in the corner watching this fight, just going, holy shit. And the funny thing is, nobody asked me to sit down because I was just standing straight up. None of the security, none of the fans, and I just didn't give a shit. I was hooked. So Dennis just starts rocking this bip, hitting and throwing some kicks on the guy. And next thing you know, the guy kind of drops down a little bit. Boom! Dennis just kicks him in the face, literally right as you're seeing through the ropes. And this is what ended up happening. I was literally right behind the camera. If I would have leaned forward and reached out, I could have grabbed the guy's head. That's how close I was to the fight. I was almost as close as this image. So here's what happened. I was just in my head, I'm like, holy shit. I go, I have to do this. On the one hand, it scared the living crap out of me, but what happened was I was like, I have to overcome this. I have to be a champion kickboxer. There's no two ways about it. I have to do this. So after they handed him the belt and the crowd cheered and people some people started pouring up, but some people went around to get Dennis's autograph. And then I noticed Chuck Norris was on the opposite corner signing autographs, and I just happened to look over, and he looked up right when I looked, and he pointed at me, and he goes like, come here. And I was like, what? He goes, come here. And I'm like, I can't, because the crowd was just packed. I couldn't get around. He goes, no, like come through the ring. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. So I go up the stairs, and I was about to go in, but the ref tried to stop me, and Chuck goes, no, let him through, it's okay. And he goes, but he's got street shoes on, and Chuck goes, dude, the fights are all over, it doesn't matter. And the ref goes, oh, okay. So he asks me, he goes, hey man, have you ever done any fighting before, martial arts? I'm like, well, yeah, I studied martial arts when I was a kid. I studied this and that in Vacaville, and I was a state champion of boxing. He goes, really? I'm like, yeah, why? He goes, you need to be a kickboxer. He goes, trust me, I see it in you, be a kickboxer. He goes, where do you live? I go, well, I live in Vacaville. He goes, really? He goes, Jacob Stitz Duran's down there. He goes, you got one of the best coaching crews in the world down there. He goes, you need to show up Monday after work, go right into the gym where he works, and tell him that I sent you. I was like, all right, I will do. And I did, and boom, right off the bat, I started training. So another thing I want to throw in there is I was also in the Army, 101st Airborne Screaming Eagles. Now the reason why I'm throwing all this stuff at you is to give you an idea of who I am and what I've been through, and to give you an idea of what you're stepping into. So look, number one, respect is an absolute must. Period. End of sentence. And the willingness to learn. This is something that it's 180 degrees completely opposite of everything you've ever imagined in a million years. I'm telling you, every person I've worked with, even that guy that had his doctorate degree in psychology and was a marriage family counselor, he was like, what the hell is this? This is something that you've never heard of, never seen. If you've studied NLP, yeah, the NLP stuff I teach, you're probably gonna already know that stuff. But that's it. You're not going to know all the other stuff I teach, because it doesn't come from psychology, it doesn't come from NLP, it doesn't come from Ericksonian hypnosis. But here's what that did for me. It laid the foundation, the ability to learn something that Buddha Kam was doing to me that I had no idea what he was doing at first. And then it was about but I kept going back, and he kept doing this blessing meditation thing. And one day I popped open, I was like, oh my God, I know what he's doing. because there's some things I learned in Hawaii when I was studying Huna and NLP that we trained in, that we practiced over and over every morning before we started class. And there's some things I learned in hypnosis, and then I was like, oh, I see what he's doing, and then I figured out how he was doing it. And that is literally the basis of what this entire course was built upon. That is, and this is the base. So it's the foundation of everything that you're going to learn. This is literally like a house's foundation. Once we build this in, everything else will fall into place. So I hope that gives you an idea of who I am, a little bit of my background. It's not everything. There's more to it. I've lived a really, really interesting and fascinating life, a very fun life, and a very fast-paced and intense life. So this is going to be an intensive course. There are some things we can do, like a couple pre-trainings before you come in. We can also do follow-up trainings to go over the techniques to practice until they lock in, okay? So we don't have to rush. If you do the 5-day training, it's going to be a rush. What I may do is throw in 1 or 2 sessions to prep you and to get a couple of the smaller stuff out of the way, so we don't have to go as fast once you get here. You know, there's something else I want to say. You better be willing to practice, and I mean practice every day, as often, as many chances as you can get, not only when you work with me, but after the course. You have to be willing to practice and practice and practice to get the technique down to where it becomes fluid, to where it becomes natural and smooth. And then you move on to the next one. You practice and practice and practice. If you do not come in with that mentality, in all sincerity, there's no reason to take the course. It won't work for you. If you want to be a champion, if you want to be like this guy in the dating relationship coaching world, take the course, bust your ass, make it happen. The theme around my life is I've been surrounded by world champions from one sport to another sport. I've been on some amazing teams and involved with some amazing coaches. Excellence is the #1 thing here, period. Excellence and commitment and dedication. You have to come in with that mentality. If you do, your world will change. I guarantee it. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at crackedfemalecode.com. Remember, click the subscribe button. The next thing to do is buy my book, Crack the Female Code, then take the course. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.